Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Welcome back to another Web3 101 Wednesday. Today is December 3rd, and we are so glad to be here with you. It's me, Evan. I'm back with your friend Alex. Will be joining us shortly, and this is your helpful place for Web3 news, commentary, answers to your crypto questions, and occasionally a really great clip or soundbite like this gem I posted recently on X. If you're in podcast land, you won't see it, but you will hear it. He is the co-founder and CEO of Rise Up Media, sliding into your DMs like, hey. Honestly, dude, I just want this clip to go mega viral, and I want more clips of the show to go places where people see them and enjoy them. Shout out to everybody who's been clipping our show. And if you're thinking about it, don't worry. We've got a Dropbox feature coming soon. Alex, I want to know what you think about this. You know how our partner of the show, Polygon, has got this UGC campaign going on?
I do, yes. As I've been saying, the bar is so low. Post content.
Dude, the bar is so low. So here's what I'm thinking we can do to make it easier, especially for our friends who are not native creators, and that will help the show, is we talk about Polygon all the time. And if you have a particular clip that you like, that you see us talking about Poly Market, you see us talking about Courtyard, you see us talking about payments on Polygon or something like that, now, or I should say soon, we will have a link in the community to a Dropbox folder that is going to have all of our episodes. And I'm also going to see if I can get the workflow to get those clips that like StreamYard generates and just put them there for you. Like steal these clips, post them with the hashtag Polygon, the hashtag UGC, and then get entered in that prize pot. They're going to extend it past the end of the year, but now, right now, if you post UGC content, Polygon wants to pay you. The prize pot is like $25,000. It is $25,000, and you should get a piece of that. So we'll do our part to help you. And I will post that link along with an announcement when it's ready in community.rumshq.com, where we've got everything. The only thing missing is you. So Alex, brother, how you doing today?
Good. I got up extra early today. Got back from the school drop off extra early. Sat outside with the cats for a minute. It's like it's Georgia cold right now. So, you know, for people experiencing actual cold, it's not cold here. But for us, it's cold here. I love sitting outside on like a cool morning, and this is about as close as I get.
Crisp is the word I would use.
Yeah,
when it's not,
I'm real bullish on a crisp morning.
Dude, when it's not too cold to be outside, or when you're appropriately bundled and maybe you've got a nice warm drink in a mug, then that's...
Appropriate bundle is all that matters. You could be... I mean, I remember one of my favorite brisk mornings ever was after a concert that I was like roadieing for. One of my best friend's bands many years ago when I was in college. It was in Houghton, Michigan.
Ooh.
Which is, if you go, drive from the Ohio border, from the bottom of Michigan, and drive north for 11 hours, and you'll be at Houghton. And you can still go farther north from there, but it was like, I don't know, -10, and we stayed at this guy's house and came outside, and he was digging the barbecue out from the snow, and then he grilled like eggs and bacon and sausage and stuff just like on this grill, and it was like -10, and we were all bundled up, and that was a super crisp. But no wind. -10 with no wind is not too bad.
Actually,
at this point, after this many Georgia years, I would die. But at that time, I was like pure Michigan.
Yeah, Joe in the comments says, please take this snow. Ooh. I know Tori, our friends in Ohio, had a snow day yesterday, or at least some of them did. And I can't wait. My family is in Michigan. We're going to travel there, Kim and I, next week for a couple of days just to make the rounds. And I'm just so ready to see some snow and some Christmas lights. And It'll be good. So if you've got a question related to how cold is too cold for it to be crisp, related to cryptocurrency, maybe cold storage, then leave it in the comments. And if you're not listening live, then drop it in the community. I hope you appreciate that transition. Things are heating up. And we've already got them rolling in. Here's one that I would love for you to weigh in on, Alex, because I saw you posted about this yesterday from Brian Meebuck. Pardon, Brian, if I mispronounced your name. Good to see you here. Asking what we think about whether or not Kevin Hazlitt would be good as Fed chair. For folks who don't know, the news just came in that Donald Trump officially nominated Hazlitt to be the next Fed chair. Of course, he has to get approved by Congress, but the general reaction from crypto Twitter is that this fiscal conservative, I say in quotes, is going to absolutely turn the money printers on. It'll be like a sugar high for Wall Street and presumably crypto. Alex, what do you think?
Well, like I said in my tweet there, please, for the love of God, prepare yourself to take profit, because this is a move that I think they think is just like a market pump.
Yeah.
Like we are no longer in any way, shape, or form interested at all in sustainability. We are interested in like short term make the number move. So I don't know. You don't care. You don't want the Fed chair to be a hyper political appointment, and that's what this is.
Yeah.
You just don't want that.
Doug says, LMAO. He's such a tool. Pamp, then death.
Yes, correct.
You know, Alex, you said something the other day that I wanted you to dig down on because I think I might disagree with it, which is the market is so tired of manipulation that we're exhausted. And the implication, don't let me put words in your mouth, it sounded like you were implying that at some point there would be a stimulus and it would just be a dead horse. You know what I mean? Like the body wouldn't react on the ground. And my take is like, actually, the market is totally exhausted, but we're going to do, instead of like dying on the floor, we're going to continue to react even like a good cadaver will. If you put the electrodes in the right place, we're going to jump. I think people will continue to react ever more haggardly and maybe more chaotically. But I think, I don't know, when they push the button, the incentive is for people to, do stuff or fear missing out.
Okay, so yeah, first of all, that's not what I meant.
Okay.
What I meant was, if you take the person who has been like issuing the rallying cry that like, don't worry guys, everything is fine, we're exhausted by that. So things need to happen. Something needs to happen. And I still think we can be negatively impacted by posts. But what I'm saying is exhausted is the idea, like if a certain somebody just tweets something awful, we're still gonna crater. I don't think that's gonna change. People still get scared. I'm just saying, I don't think that when the tweet comes that is like intended to be a bull tweet, that I don't think that's gonna do much. I think that's getting exhausted. I think the idea that we are just like, so we're just whiplash, literally as if it's a joke. Half of crypto Twitter yesterday is we're so back. It's like
really?
10% in one day, and you forgot everything that just happened. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, 10% in a day is great. Take some profit. If you bought that dip, sell some of it. That is financial advice. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. I feel exhausted. The sentiment I've seen is exhaustion. And what I'm talking about the idea that, someone can come out and say like, hey guys, everything is good. Like, we know that that's bullshit. And right now it's like, we're just looking for any excuse to do a short-term pump because that's like the best we can muster. This appointment is one of those things. Issuing a proclamation that we're going to invest $1,250 per like child for 25 million children. Like, on its face, what a killer idea. I wish we weren't gutting education and torpedoing everything that these kids are theoretically going to invest in at the same time, because that's such a That's a bummer of a conjunction of ideas there, because that idea is really cool. There's so many of those things, like, hey, here's a thing that's going to juice the markets, and it's just like, is it really? Like, that's what I'm tired of.
You know where I'm really excited to hear more about this particular news event and this general thread of conversation, Alex? I'm really excited to hear about it when I tune into Trust Issues later today, live at 3 p.m. Eastern. You want to give the pitch for it? The very first episode of Trust Issues?
The very first one. Yeah, today, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here, all the places. My TikTok, the Twitter, the LinkedIn, the Facebook, the YouTube, all that good stuff. We're gonna run the first episode. The focus today is Genius and why it sucks.
Genius and why it sucks. Love it. If you want to see Trust Issues,
every day that goes by, I'm just Trust Issues. Every now and then, like I only have two modes. I sit here and like struggle to come up with a name for something, and then sometimes the lightning bolt just hits you. Yeah, and that's what that was.
Yeah, that's a good name. That's a good name. It might be right up there with Glass for Breakfast, and I'm excited to see you get that chance to talk about policy. I think it's going to draw a whole new audience, and I hope it's going to engage people in the helpful manner that we need. Now, speaking of helpful, he's my friend and he's yours. Please welcome my friends to the Rise Up Morning Show, Mr. William Watson. Will.
Hello.
Good morning. How you doing, brother?
I'm covered in sap.
I heard you had a little bit of a Christmas tree catastrophe. What's wrong over there,
I was
Twinkle
watering
Toes?
my tree and I was going a little too fast and knocked the whole thing over. So, luckily it's only a 6-foot tree, so it's not like some gigantic monstrosity. So, but then you have to run the whole thing of, oh, well, I'll just put the tree back. And then, your girlfriend, wife, spouse, whatever goes, that's not straight. And you go, what are you talking about? This is straight. And then they put it the way they think it's straight. And you're like, this isn't straight at all. And you got to go back and forth until you find a happy medium. And here we are. The Christmas tree is back up. It is watered. A few lights are off, but we'll survive. We'll keep moving forward.
Hey, man, I am really glad. It could have been a lot worse. Christmas trees have sent people to the ER. I saw our friend Mike, Mike.eth over there on X. He went out into the field and got his own Christmas tree, like 1800s style. I have always wanted to do that.
Oh,
with
that's
like
sick.
a little hacksaw and a little sled and, one of my little dogs with me. But,
In Maine, actually, this is a motivation. This is a pretty cool story. In the middle of nowhere, Maine, I mean, like not far away from the Canadian border, there's this guy we go get the tree from, and his grandfather has this gigantic tree farm in Maine. And the grandfather he's long since passed now, but this guy, the grandson, he middle of nowhere, Maine, goes to the University of Miami in Florida, and you think he's going to get lost there. He gets his master's in data science, moves back up to Maine, and just does coding for the past like 20 years or so, 25 years or so. Bought like 10 subways, and now all he does is he hangs out in Miami, flies back up to Maine to sell the trees, and he's good. He's living off this subway money. I'm just like, that's honestly awesome. He's like, yeah. I was like, were you tempted to just stay in Miami and party? He goes, nah, I hate these people. He goes, nah, I hate these people. I wanted to get back up to Maine as quickly as I possibly could. And then he was like, my living expenses every single month were like $1,000 flat across like everything. And then I was just making like data science money, coding money.
Yeah! Damn. Okay, that's the hack.
I was like, damn, hey man, that's a good solid hack. Couldn't have been me.
Sounds like a Hallmark movie.
I would have been too bored. It does sound like a Hallmark movie.
Data scientist starts a Christmas tree farm in the off season, finds love, stays rich. That's the way it is.
Married, got kids. He's got a good life.
We've got a number of different things to discuss today, and the first one I wanted to get both of your takes on was the Grayscale Chainlink ETF. They have a trust product, GLNK. It launched yesterday, and I just wanted to read in a couple of numbers about how it stacks up against other altcoin ETPs. This is something we've talked about a lot this season, and it's something that Grayscale has generally led on. On its debut, GLNK traded 1.17 million shares on the New York Stock Exchange's ARCA markets. That's like $13.9 million in volume. The shares are priced at $11 They don't necessarily correspond to the price of the crypto token because they're not necessarily backed one-to-one exactly. The underlying token did see a bit of a notable rally, about 10 to 13% on the listing. So I can hear the ghost of Alex Pass saying, take your profits. And it looks like the assets under management are like $27.9 million. And they're offering a 0% fee for the first 3 months or until they hit a certain assets under management. I couldn't find what that was. But solid volume, healthy price pop. And compared to, say, like Grayscale's XRP ETF, though, not as impressive. The XRP ETF that Grayscale did, because there's skepticism about that in the comments, traded tens of millions of dollars in value. 58 to 62 million are the estimates. And they also gave me some numbers here in this analysis comparing it to the best ETP of the year for crypto, which was the BSOL, Bitwise Sol Staking ETF. That was the largest first day ETP volume of the whole year. That did $56 million on launch day. What'd you say, Alex?
I feel like we've seen several of those.
Yeah, several of those
like
largest ETFs.
Broken.
Yeah, it's impressive. And it just kind of reflects, investor appetite really varies depending on what the asset is. There is a lot of other interesting stuff too. Fundamentals matter, first mover advantage matters. But what do you guys think?
Nobody apes in the way that the crypto community apes into stuff.
Nope. Oh, interesting.
Small measured buys? No. Full send.
Yeah.
So
I was curious. I was very curious to see how the Bitcoin ETF would change with the introduction of Vanguard. Because I'm sorry, as you were going through that list, did you mention Vanguard's entrance?
I didn't mention Vanguard. No. So feel free to color it right in.
Yeah. You got to do that for the day because that's the biggest thing is Vanguard, which is the second largest investment firm in the world. It goes BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity. I forget how many assets under management BlackRock has, but they're at number one. Vanguard's at number two with 11 trillion casually, and then it's Fidelity at something like 6 trillion or something like that. You'd have to look that up. But so Vanguard didn't release an ETF or anything, but they are exposing their customers to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. And they are just providing them access to other folks' ETF products. So like BlackRock's IBIT for Bitcoin or Fidelity's Solana ETF. And I was really curious to see what the flows were going to be, like if they were going to be absolutely massive across the board. And it looks like Vanguard really dove into the BlackRock ETF because yesterday, to put it into context for those who can't see this and those in podcast land, the BlackRock ETF, that's interesting that the ads move. I hate that. The BlackRock ETF yesterday, 2 days ago, on November 28th, I should say. So had outflows of $113 million. And then on December 1st had outflows of essentially what is $66 million. And then yesterday had inflows of $120 million. So that is a reversal of basically $180 million from one day to the next one. Vanguard stepped their toes in. If I was a Vanguard customer, I would only purchase Bitcoin through the BlackRock ETF because it has the most liquidity. And then we saw Fidelity come in at 21 million, which is pretty much in line. Fidelity people had been buying, so it does seem like Vanguard dipped their toes into the BlackRock pool that we see here. Let me go see. Let's go check out Ethereum.
For the record,
and while you do that, let me. Oh, sorry, Alex. Just very quickly put a clarifying point on it. That the big innovation here with Vanguard is that they are now allowing brokerage clients to trade spot crypto ETFs. Used to be before you could really only buy and hold. Their long stance has been you can buy it. That's it. It's an on-ramp pretty much. But now it's really an on-ramp. Longtime crypto skeptic basically just swung the gates wide open.
Yep. Also, Obairi, I see your comment here about what do you think about Pi Network? It's just a money grab. It's a money grab. That's all it is.
Skip it.
Skip it. That's all you need to know about it. But Ethereum here, during the same days where Bitcoin had outflows through the BlackRock ETF, the BlackRock ETF for Ethereum had inflows, 68.3 million and 26.7 million against that 112 million and 60 million of outflows. And then with Vanguard getting into the market, there were actually net outflows from BlackRock of $88.7 million. So in my personal opinion, this would tell me that Vanguard stepped into their first day of having crypto products, and they chose Bitcoin over Ethereum. That's what that told me. You did have, let's see, Grayscale, though. Grayscale did see an inflow of 28.1 million, which is a significant increase. So Vanguard, for whatever reason, may have chosen the Grayscale product. They definitely chose it just because of the trading fees. The trading fees for the Ethereum ETF are, the Ethereum ETF from Grayscale, their mini Ethereum ETF is the cheapest. So it looks like for for Bitcoin, Vanguard clients chose Bitcoin through BlackRock. And for Ethereum, they chose the Grayscale mini ETF because this is a pretty significant increase. So that's what that looks like to me. And then the last ETF that Farside tracks here, Solana. Let's see. Solana's inflows remained pretty much the same through Bitwise, but we did see what is for these ETFs a significant increase because we had the biggest day of inflows for VanEck, which was only $2.7 million. And Fidelity had their second biggest day at 6.9 million Fidelity here. And then Grayscale saw some decent inflows here. So Solana was maybe slightly affected by the entrance of Vanguard, but it really looks like it was just Bitcoin.
Alex, I think you had a point of commentary you were going to make.
Yeah, and Bearded tossed it in here too. Just a clarification on the size of these different asset managers. BlackRock is indeed number one with 13.46 trillion, followed by Vanguard at 11.6, followed by Fidelity at 6.8, and then one I've never heard of, Forethought Investment Management at 3.6, and then it kind of
yes, of course, those guys.
Yes.
Weird that weird. I've never heard of them.
Never
the
heard.
fourth largest
Never heard
investment.
of them.
Never heard of them.
Never heard that name before.
Moving in stealth. Shout out to Bearded and a point for the assist. We have a couple of follow-up questions coming in that all center around whether or not. Go ahead,
Alex. Did you have like an immediate follow-up or something? I saw your finger.
I think I was gonna highlight the same question you were about to highlight,
okay.
Evan. So take it away.
To rug ETP. Alex, to rug Evan, to rug me. Evan, back to you.
ETF products. How do you stay on top of them? What do you need to know, and are they worth it for crypto investors? So what kinds of information do you pay attention to determine whether or not an ETP, an exchange traded product, is right for you? And then I will share a couple of resources about where you can find them. Alex, since you've been double rugged, would you like to help us determine how to choose?
There are three things of which you should be considering when it comes to an ETF, ETP product: volume, fees, and also the brokerage you prefer, right?
You get a glum for saying ETP product like a tool.
I know, because I don't like ETP. I don't like ETP.
Don't forget to hit your ATM machine and turn on your hot water heater. And
hang on a second. No, I'm just going to give myself a ding. Wait.
No, you're starting tonight in the hole.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Sweet potato pie is bad. Now. Yeah, so the three things. So volume, your brokerage of choice, and fees, right? So you want to find some kind of pairing there. If you are a very large institutional client or whatever, or maybe you have a lot of money, you want to find some place that has a lot of volume that can handle your orders, right? For most people, that's not going to be a huge concern. So you want to find some pairing of the three. If volume is your biggest concern and you are used to using BlackRock, then hey, BlackRock's your home. Your fee is going to be like 0.25%. The cheapest fee out there is the Grayscale mini ETF, which has 0.15% fees. So if you are just a normal day person, well, go check out the Grayscale mini ETF. It has the cheapest fees. It has good enough volume, and they're a trusted provider, right? So it's about finding. But if you're like, hey, I've used Fidelity my whole life, you're going to pay your 0.25% fee, and like you're fine. You have liquidity. It's a trusted platform. You're going to pay a little bit higher fee than if you switch to Grayscale. You're going to be fine there. But ultimately, it's a pairing of those three things.
Beautiful.
And to answer Solemn's question too, with just one more consideration, the question was why would you do that? By that I mean buy an ETF. Personally, it's just because I get access to assets that I do have conviction in, in a place where I've already been pre-taxed because I hold shares of these different ETPs in my Roth IRA. And so I max out contributions to that every year. And 3 of the things that I buy, 2 recently, but 1, I used to own the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust years ago when that was a thing. And then it was converted into an ETF. I believe the regular Grayscale ETF has higher than average fees, and the only reason I'm still in that one is because all my shares were converted from trust to ETF, and then they tripled in value, so that was cool. But then also the Solana, the Bitwise Solana ETP, and then also the Ethereum ETF as well. And I do have to shout myself out, pat on the back. I bought all 3 of those at the exact bottom of this most recent dip. And because the activity inside of a Roth IRA is protected from capital gains, I am taking profits on all 3 of those today because it was just, the timing was just too perfect. And then,
nope. There it is. Sorry.
I was going to say.
Sorry. Let's just, there you go. Now you're in the
bullet
positive
lump?
with things.
Thank you.
Now you're in the positive with things.
So anyway, that's at least that's my biggest reason.
And if you're trying to keep up with this news, I have got a ton of different sources for you to follow, but some of them are going to be, some of them are going to be too much. So you just pick what's easiest for you. That's the key with all of this. Make it easy. If you want to stay on top of like particular broad ETF product launches, you can go to, get this URL, ETF.com. The Bloomberg desk has really good reporting, not just like announcements, but also commentary from experts who've been doing this for a while. Eric Balchunas, James Seifert. The SEC's Edgar filings are a public record. If you want like raw signal, this is the paperwork that every ETF product must file. It includes like a form N1A and S1, some other like brought to you by this letter and this number forms, but you can get all that at the SEC's website, sec.gov or sec.report. That's a good tracking tool, as well as crypto native reporting. If you're looking just at crypto ETFs and ETPs, you can talk to CoinDesk, Blockworks, the Defiant, Decrypt, Unchained will probably publish stuff about it. Obviously, we'll talk about it when we hear about it. And we'll give you more context if you're a crypto person. And then I would also say you can tune into the issuers themselves. Write down Vanguard, write down BlackRock, write down Grayscale and Bitwise and Van Eck, because these are the big players. And then if you want to go to Twitter, that's where the inside baseball happens. X, the website formerly known as Twitter. Some accounts you might consider following that talk about this are, I mentioned earlier, James Seifert, Seyffart of Bloomberg, and also Eric Balchunas of Bloomberg. The show's not sponsored by Bloomberg. I just happen to hear these 2 names thrown around a lot, and they always give helpful, no hype commentary. But there are others. Matt Hogan, the CIO of Bitwise, is a good one. Larry Chermak, how do I say his name? And if you want more, then come to the Rise Up community, because we will definitely put our best resources and would encourage you to share yours there. Final thoughts on the ETFs, ETPs? Go ahead, Will.
Yes. Another reason to consider an ETF. This isn't right for me, but maybe it will be one day. Who knows? If you are buying crypto with the idea that you're going to pass it on to folks, the ETF's probably the best way to do it. It's the least risk, because you don't have to worry about maybe like your children or grandchildren or something, or great-grandchildren, potentially mismanaging the self-storage responsibilities or sending things to a wrong transaction or something, right? If you want to really ensure with zero risk, right? Granted, to do this, you have to pass up, you're giving up your own ability to manage your own money, right? And to have full control over your own financial liberty, right? That's the give and take, right? And also you have some additional fees there. But ETFs are the best way to do that. However, if you trust your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren to, manage their cold storage and, their own keys in a correct and responsible way, because you are teaching them, because you watch and follow and listen to us and listen to the folks like that we have here from Arculus and stuff, talk about how to do it correctly and all that kind of stuff, then, Bob's your uncle, and you can pass that on, share the hardware wallets, yada yada yada, all that kind of stuff. Just understand, there might very well be a more attractive path here with an ETF product.
Yeah, and there are, as the comments point out, some risks. They may be low risk in terms of losing the keys and therefore losing access to your crypto, but there could be other problems you're concerned about, like
there's still a volatility risk and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for the record, I do not purchase any ETF products, even though like the thought is attractive, but I just really like having I like control, so I like having like my hands on my money.
Yeah, and crypto ETFs, they can be really volatile. Their price can drift, especially if there's like high volatility in the crypto market. If there's an outage on a brokerage or an exchange, if there's a liquidity crunch, derivatives are getting liquidated. All of this comes from the fact that you are essentially using tokens in and of themselves are like a symbol that represents another thing. Bitcoin doesn't physically exist, but the thing that you can own directly is a representation of your claim to own Bitcoin. But if you own it as an ETF, it's like yet another step removed. It's a derivative token that represents the token that represents Bitcoin, issued by somebody whose ownership comes with terms and conditions. Mm-hmm. It's a trade-off. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah. I do want to, I think we've covered everything with the ETFs. You guys have anything else to add?
Nope.
Okay, then I would like to share some news, which is now I'm going to say this. If you hold this coin, I am sorry for what I'm about to show you on this chart.
Oh, damn.
However, I don't think anyone here holds it, but maybe someone does. And Alex, this will tickle you. There's no way it doesn't. Let me share my screen real quick. And so Hex has hit an all-time low. Pulse chain, hexicans, pulsicans. You are at an all-time low. I am
a big fan of this.
Who
could have seen this coming?
I am sorry, but at the same time, also not, because we have been talking about it for quite some time. Alex has gotten many death threats from this community. For those of you who are unaware, Alex, actually, you know what, Alex? Would you like to explain the full story of Hex?
Yeah, protect us both from risk of death threat by just taking one more for the team.
Yeah, by taking all the bullets for us. Actually, Alex, it's like there's a dragon about to breathe fire, and I just like pushed Alex in front of me.
They're always just, I don't know. There's a few of them that just like watch us on Twitter and wait for me to say something, clip it, send it to their Discords, and then they all start DMing me. Yeah. So, okay, Hex. Hex is a scam. In the sense that it's just nonsense. There's nothing there. It's an elaborate investment scheme built by a known con artist, Richard Hart, whose favorite pastimes include lying, grifting, and flaunting wealth made off of all of his followers in front of them, and then making fun of people for being poorer than him. And then out of this awful pile of crap came Pulse Chain, which was, I still can't believe that this was not like a bigger deal when it was happening, because it's insane to me that anyone participated in this. But the whole premise was that you could send your ERC tokens, anything on Ethereum, to this wallet that had no contract governing it. It was just a wallet owned by Mr. Richard Hart himself. It was called the Sacrifice Wallet, and you could send anything there, and then eventually you were returned the Pulse Chain version of that thing, which is also still built on Ethereum. So they kept the good ERCs and returned to you a shittier version and called it a blockchain. I have seen like one or two people dabbling with building things on that chain. I have not gotten an update from any of those in a very long time, so I hazard a guess that they're not doing great. But it does not
think that's a good guess.
That Hex is at an all-time low. I'm very sorry, of course, for people who got taken advantage of by that thing, but
also
inevitable.
You can only help so many people.
It's true. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, I saw that news get posted on Twitter, and I was like,
yeah,
this must be shared.
Their website was famous having such crazy disclaimers on it. Honestly, you kind of have to give Hex a little bit of credit for this one thing, that their website was actually sort of honest. There were all sorts of amazing one-liners posted on that thing, and this was real. Like, you can go in the Wayback Machine and find all these things if they're not still posted. It was like, code is hard. Decentralized code is harder. There was one disclaimer that basically just said, nothing on this website is required to be accurate, up-to-date, or truthful. And I'm like, you know what? Honestly, okay.
Yeah, fair. Good on. Yeah.
Well, for the Hex community, I want to highlight this comment from Jay Fillet regarding our throwing Alex to the wolves that said, yes, death is worth it. Take it away, Alex.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm glad we could all experience that.
Well,
together.
you're kind of poking the bear lately, because I saw a really great video you made on Instagram and that went to Facebook. I'm sure it's on TikTok too, but I happened to catch it on Instagram, where you answered the question, why don't I talk about XRP so much? And my first thought was, bro, this is going to do numbers. And my second thought was, great video. It was very helpful. It was concise. And it's tough to talk about tokens that people care so much in like a personal way about.
Yeah. And then, so for those of you who didn't see the video, it was funny. I was like, well, I'm talking about XRP. So here's one thing. As an influencer, you are so incentivized to talk about XRP because the videos typically do phenomenally well. Yeah. But the thing is it's such a double-edged sword, particularly for us. So the reason why it is obviously we work with crypto companies, right? And here's one thing that a lot of people don't think of. People in crypto don't talk about XRP because if you talk about XRP and you actually believe in XRP, you are seen to be as a single cell organism who hasn't really the Web3 experience, knowledge, or breadth of skill to realize that XRP really doesn't do much. People in crypto don't talk about XRP because XRP and Ripple aren't actually doing anything, right? That's the thing. The reason why people talk about XRP in general is because there have been for years. And at first they were as ground-based as they possibly could when XRP first came out. And there was a Ripple because at the time, like XRP was like one of the leading edge altcoins. It had a company, it had a mission, and it was going after cross-border payments, which was super hot in like the 2017 timeframe. And it seemed like it was in a better position to do it because it had this company and all these things. It was great, right? And so as more time went by, just the conspiracy theories just continued to build. And then Ripple as a company just stopped talking and backed away and just let the conspiracy theories run, because the conspiracy theories led new retail investors to come in. And then the people at Ripple just sell XRP continuously on them, and they have this infinite money glitch. And that's how they make their money. It's very well documented, right? But the thing is we work with crypto companies, and even if I like start talking about XRP and just using it as a charting example, I run the risk of being seen as like an XRP moon boy, and people immediately thinking that I am disreputable and not credible.
It's very hard to be casually discuss XRP, which is really annoying.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, is you can't casually discuss it also because the community is so ravenous about it and has absorbed these conspiracy theories and these lies. For some folks, like I would say to the majority, it's your first time in crypto and you hear these great things and you go, oh, that's amazing. And you don't really know what follow-up questions to ask. You don't know what tools to go and look at. You don't know who exactly to believe. You just see all these people talking about XRP. So you think XRP is the greatest thing, right? It's very, very easy, and I totally understand it, right? But when I come on, or Evan or Alex, and we go, hey, XRP has all these challenges for XYZ reason. We can be the most professional people possible, and it's still going to trigger a huge amount of people into thinking that we're just these like fudders, that we're just anti-XRP to be anti-XRP, that we're just talking about XRP to get the numbers. And it turns away a huge audience that we want to attract and feel welcomed in here so that they can start learning a little bit about macroeconomics, a little bit about wallet safety, a little bit about why economic, why political policy is really not shaping up really great in the Genius Act, right? To listen to Alex, to listen to Evan, to listen to myself, to get little bits of nuggets of information so that you can get closer to where we want you to be, which is a self-empowered, confident, self-efficient investor Web3 user, right? Like that's what we want. And if I just as professionally as possible explain like, hey, this is why there are challenges with XRP, it turns away so many people that I really want to help, because there's such an emotional charge to XRP, because everyone is being peddled this lie that XRP is like a God-given gift. And it makes people emotional. And that's why it's really hard to talk about XRP.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Al.
I saw your response to the question, why don't you talk about it more? My answer to that is always just like, honestly, it's boring. One like tough to swallow pill. This is not at all unique, what I'm about to say, to Ripple and XRP in any way, shape, or form. You could say this about a tremendous number of cryptos, especially some of the really, really big ones. There's this phenomenon wherein a company who has like an agenda and a thing that they want to do needs to figure out how to stay in business when the thing that they would like to do does not necessarily make them enough money to continue to do the thing. A notorious example would be Dfinity, the lab that built and maintains ICP. ICP itself, there's nothing wrong with it. At everything that it does, it works well. The people that I know who have built things there have had great experiences with the building. There used to be a lot more like developer resources there. There was a more like robust environment, ecosystem over there. You could do stuff. Anytime you really needed to get a hold of Dfinity and like work with them and try to like biz dev stuff or get help with, marketing or messaging or comms or introductions or whatever, it was always really, really hard, speaking from personal experience. But the thing that you built like worked really well. You were just like on your own, because Dfinity uses ICP to stay in business so they can keep doing research and testing software and building stuff and experimenting. And I personally think they're doing interesting, important, good work. And rather than like have to keep taking venture funding or more investments or selling more equity or whatever, they can just use the fact that ICP will have a trading market and stay in business forever. Lots of larger labs and foundations use a cryptocurrency to stay in business or to amplify their revenue streams, even though the token itself is like kind of second thought at best. Any real movement with it or stuff happening with it or like partnerships and integrations are like ceremonial and meant to just keep it relevant. Ripple is a pretty busy company. XRP is not a pretty busy ecosystem, but they've integrated it into a lot of different pieces of their overall plan, and they keep it topical and they keep it sexy, and they know exactly how to drop like little nuggets out to keep people interested and keep the rumor mill going. I'm also not making this up, for the record. We've met with and talked to people who have worked on marketing projects for Ripple. They have an understanding that they don't need to say much to
I talked to David Schwartz at ETH Denver for about 5 minutes, and he said, yeah, this is a problem.
And who's David Schwartz, Evan?
David Schwartz is the CTO emeritus, one of the co-founders, and the guy basically who wrote the code base for the XRPL.
It's a real problem, because the lie that gets perpetrated is that this thing is like incredible and it's going to take over the world and all this stuff. Even though, like, if you dig, the thing works. There's not an inherent problem with it. It appears to have integrations and things that are happening, and you can like go to these ecosystems and build stuff and put things on these networks and trade the currencies. You can invest in them. They often have some staying power because they've established some sort of brand recognition. XRP has phenomenal brand recognition. If you have never heard of anything in crypto, there's that group. And if you've only heard of like one or two things, it's probably Bitcoin and XRP. I would say, honestly, Ethereum is probably behind XRP in terms of like how many people are aware of it, just from like a brand recognition standpoint. So, that is, you can't argue with that. Like, so Will, I know you've said XRP can be a great thing to trade. Some of the most prolific regular traders I know usually just touch Bitcoin. And if they add anything else to it, it's XRP, because they're not worried about it going to zero. And they know that it's going to keep ranging, and it's a little bit more predictable. Because you have that monthly sell schedule to count on. You have the fact that they're not going to let it go very long without some sort of announcement. And then if you'll notice, there are some really, 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 really bad. Like, I can't have enough reallys. We'd be here for the rest of the show with just really bad creators who talk about XRP as if, like Will said, it's the second coming of Christ in a token form. And those are dangerous because their price predictions are insane.
$10,000. There's this TikTok ad going. It's an ad. It keeps popping.
It's an ad?
Oh, it's an ad because the person's paying for it or someone's paying for it to get spread out. And it's just like they're putting down the phone. Like, all right, if XRP is at $10,000, you'll make this amount if you buy this. So just put in like $10,000 now, and you'll have this amount then. See you at the top. And I keep seeing it. I'm just like, not interested. Get me out of here. Pull up.
Yeah, I mean, the names that everyone's tossing out, Sage is the worst for a whole lot of reasons. I've seen enough clips of Jake Claver, who also has just absolutely outlandish, ridiculous predictions. He's real good at moving the goalposts. I mean, Zach also moves goalposts all the time. Like, every time anything bad, this is why I gave that cognitive dissonance speech yesterday, because if you can't intake a criticism about a thing and then have I should look into that because I don't want to necessarily be like unaware of a concern with an investment that I hold, then that's a problem. You are living in an echo chamber, and that's your fault. That's not my fault. So think about that. But every time bad news comes up, like, instead of people being upset, they're like, no, this is just a tactic to keep us out.
Exactly.
And it's like, no, it's the most publicly recognized cryptocurrency on the planet. No one is trying to keep anybody out of anything. That's such a silly thing to say when it's this popular. Like, the cat's out of the bag, right? Like, XRP is not a secret. And yet every day that goes by, you get another earth-shattering announcement and then nothing happens. So, like, how many times does that happen before someone starts to connect a dot that, like, perhaps the marketing is overblown? And like I said, they're not the only ones. There's a lot.
Yeah. And I saw a question too that came through, but like, hey, can you talk about just real quickly why like XRP and Ripple like aren't going to achieve what they want to achieve? And I'll give it to you super simply, super fast, right? XRP and Ripple claim to do one or two things. First of all, it was, we are going to replace SWIFT and be the source for international cross-border payments because we make it faster and cheaper, right? And the other thing was, like, all the banks are going to use this, right? And I'm using the word banks in general, any like money processor, right? So like your Visa, your MasterCard, like everyone who needs money processing will use Ripple. Everyone's like, it's such a big opportunity, yada, 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 yada. You use the Ripple solution, there's XRP in the solution. Everyone will have to get XRP, blah, 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 in order to do their cross-border payments, right? So that was the shtick. The other two reasons why that's really, really, really not going to happen. So SWIFT. SWIFT, first of all, is mandated by international regulations for everyone to use. In order for that to replace, it's not just a competitive advantage solution, it is a regulatory solution as dictated by the US economic empire. Okay? You have to do a little bit more to change that. Secondly, SWIFT partnered with Chainlink to work with blockchains. And this happened like 2.5 years ago. And I remember talking about it then, being like, XRP people, you gotta be wary of this. And everyone was like, no. And then just a number of months ago, Chainlink announced that they are building a cross-border payment solution on the blockchain built on an Ethereum layer 2 scaling solution through their partnership with Chainlink, which is exactly what Ripple is going to do. So your opportunity to replace SWIFT is totally and utterly blasted out of the water, like a 17th century naval battle where you are a dinghy going up against a great British man of war with a full broadside. That's essentially what happened to you for that goal. Secondly, the banks and other money processors. Visa, MasterCard, all these banks are building their own layer 2, are building their own solutions on Solana and also on Ethereum. And we've had many announcements over the past years of all these companies doing that. There goes your second. Also, all these companies are building their own stable coins because it's a huge money-making opportunity. So that third use case that propped up for like, oh, this will make XRP go up is the Ripple stable coin, the RLUSD. Is that what it is?
Yep.
They're like, oh, this will drive demand. But guess what? With the current regulation that's going through, everyone's building their own stablecoin because everyone wants to make their own money off fees. So everyone's doing that. So there go your 1, 2, and your third opportunity for how do we have this conspiracy theory, this speculation about XRP go up in value? All of them are kaput. That's it.
I was really not intending to go this deep, but it seems like a good topic. I want to touch a couple comments real quick, and maybe we can wrap it up with a bow, and glad to keep it going. The first is to say, Alex, I wish I could ding you a million times for the comment about brand. Brand, if I had to bet on one thing, more than revenue, more than users, is the thing. Like, how much do people recognize you as an entity, an idea that exists in the world? That is, I think, more than anything, what helps a crypto company survive a bear market and make it to the next cycle. Will, what's got you chuckling?
Sorry. Joe Valenzuela goes, I bet you 3 guys secretly have a bag of XRP. We're trying to manipulate the price lower so we can fill our bags more.
I saw the comment Will's girl does, and I have to say, you know who owns XRP is Kimberly.
Yeah. No, my girlfriend sold it. My girlfriend sold it.
And you know, there is a lot to be said for like when. You know, the thing I often see is when XRP becomes a store of value, when this happens, which just kind of makes me want to say, you know, so much depends on the red wheelbarrow. When geese become a store of value, you won't be able to buy one for less than $500. When shoes become a store of value, you know what I mean? Like, the hurdles we would have to get through to go from now to then, and the other likely outcomes that are in place ahead. You know, you talk about what is likely to displace something like Swift, which is so entrenched. Stablecoins are eating XRP's lunch, and mostly it's USDC, mostly it's Tether, mostly it's going to be tokenized deposits, mostly it's going to be bank coins, those kinds of things. Could XRP, could Ripple, they've got so much money. If they've got a great strategy, it's still like anybody's game. But I think they're starting the race with their shoes untied and further back than a lot of other competitors. They've been here for a long time.
Yeah. And what I'll say is, if you are super bullish on the XRP like goals of, you know, like, oh, the international money payments, the banks will use it, and like stablecoin adoption, then instead of being bullish on XRP, you should be bullish on Chainlink, Ethereum, and Solana.
Well, I would ask anyone who, you know, because there was a couple comments about like, yeah, cope harder. I would ask you genuinely, and if you can't answer this question honestly, then you're the problem, not me. If you, like, let's take XRP and Ripple out of the equation. Let's talk about literally anything else. Like, let's just pretend that we are investing in this new company. You know, we'll call it the cool company, whatever. And they have a business plan. And this is what they've pitched to people and investors. And investors were like, that sounds great. I'm super into that. How can I invest? And they're like, well, lucky for you, you can buy our stock. And you're like, okay, sweet. So you buy some of the stock in the cool company. And then all of a sudden, a company starts that's like, hey, we're going to compete with them. And you're like, okay, interesting. I like competition. It drives market. It encourages innovation, yada, yada, whatever. And then company B is like, hey, we did it. And company A is like, well, we're about to. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to stay with company A. And then company B is like, hey, we actually just did it again. And even better. And here's the proof. It's happening right now. And company A is like, yeah, but we're cooler. And you're like, no, I'm going to stay with company A. And then company A like starts another mission. And then company B is like, oh yeah, well, we're going to keep doing mission A. And actually it just got even better. We just signed this and this and this. And here's the proof. And here's the revenue. And here's the users. And here's the whatever. And you're like, no, I'm still sticking with A. And then company C comes onto the picture and they're like, hey, that second mission from the cool company, we're actually going to take up that one. We're going to compete there. And you're like, sweet, love competition. And then company C is like, we did it. And company A is like, but we're still cooler.
Talk about us.
All the time, you're like, no, I'm going to keep investing in company A because I don't know. I don't want to admit that I was wrong or whatever. And then 17 more companies all launch, all with similar goals, and they all start doing the thing. And you're still sticking with A. In no other investment scenario conceivable would you perform or behave the way that people do with XRP. That's my issue with it. Not to mention the fact that all of the narrative around it is usually underlined with subtle or blatant bullying for people to not sell it, which is a problem because, like a couple people pointed out, I bought it at 50 cents. Phenomenal. I like seriously, genuinely, and I'm on record saying this for years. No one deserves a pump more than the XRP community, but please, for the love of God, sell some of it if you're up 5 times. If you've made a 500% return on something, sell some of it. And then as far as price predictions go, don't make price predictions.
But it's going to 10,000.
No clue where it's going. But
I'll throw you a bone. I could see in a really bullish scenario going to $5.
Yeah, that wouldn't be crazy.
I could see $8 in an eventual future. You know what I mean? Like,
it's
that
a great coin to trade.
Could see 10.
And a lot of volume in the meantime if the brand remains relevant.
Hell yeah, absolutely. And literally all of the, company A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, doesn't matter because the brand is so strong. I would just really, really encourage you to think about it in literally anything other than the XRP vacuum and ask yourself if you would still behave the same way. Because if the answer is yes, I would say you're probably a pretty bad investor.
I also want to acknowledge some of the comments here. I saw a friend of the show, Blockchain Bully, who has asked us to speak at some time in a conversation about like the nuance. We really do.
Sure.
I think want to give space for both sides. We do a show here. We do acknowledge that like we're probably pretty biased on this. Roby1 is in the comments. He's a good friend of mine who speaks really intelligently and clearly about this with a level head. I would welcome the opportunity to have that conversation where people can hear somebody who is on the other like ideological side. I hate to even say the other side because really we're all in this together. There's no us versus them, me versus you. The only people who impose that are, it's the 1%, and buddy, we ain't in that club. So, we would love to have that discussion, and it would bring a lot of good nuance. I would like to maybe read a couple of comments that are fantastic, and then are we good? Are we well met to pivot?
I would really love to move on. Yeah. And
yeah. I spend way too much time here. That's the other problem about XRP. Once you start talking about it, it just like sucks you in. You're like, no.
I don't know. I just want to, I would acknowledge that like I understand the optic of like hearing people try fervently to convince you that it's not good, and then reading that as in this is sketchy to me, like perhaps I should look closer. I totally understand that, and honestly I think that that's a good instinct overall.
Me too.
Which is why I don't like talking about XRP, because it's boring and I don't like perpetrating the other sideism of it, which is like I would never sit here and just tell you over and over again like it's a scam, it's all garbage, that everything about it is a lie, it's going to zero, like all this crap. But at the same time, I would just say for anyone curious about like platforming people like us to talk to people who are big XRP maxis, it's not going to be as interesting a conversation as you think, because we're probably going to end up agreeing on a lot more than you think. And at the end of the day, the only thing I'm disagreeing on is like actual, real world usage rates.
Yeah, it's so hard to disprove a negative. Could it happen? Yep.
Sure.
It could.
I don't know. It's just so boring.
Guys, we're getting further into the ooze.
We got sucked into the hole.
We're getting sucked back in again.
Literally quicksand.
God, get out. Get us out, Evan. Comments.
Then I'm going to give you some comments. I'm going to give you a little Alex sound, and I'm also going to give you a little where we are. Okay, the comments were going wild, and I really want to shout out Jay Fillet has been super on point. Said 6 years we've been listening to Coach Junior Varsity talk about XRP. We also had
he sucks too, for the record.
They diddying us straight TF out. And also, this has nothing to do with XRP, but they said they use Saycoin in heaven. It's just that fast, and I just thought that was a really good comment. So the other question, somebody asked right at the start of this segment about people who work in the crypto industry. What do they talk about? Well, you said the companies we partner with. They said, which companies do you partner with? And boy, am I so glad you asked. The Rise Up Morning Show is powered by partnership with the White Whale, who somebody said, I think it was Neil, revealed themselves yesterday or Monday on the show as Hester Purse. No, but good guess. Jito, Arculus, the official cold storage partner of Rise Up, Polygon, and Unlock Protocol, whose mug I have got today. This is the subtlest branding. You can't even see it with the naked eye. I will say they do have some really fire merch. Somebody said it looks like root beer in a glass, and yeah, their solutions are just that cool. Unlock Protocol is going to be back on the show. We've got a meeting coming up with them sometime soon because we want to start integrating some of their solutions for membership, for scholarship, make it easier for you, yes, you, to contribute to things like a community scholarship fund, a grant program, and generally use tokens to do more stuff that matter to us, then create content about it so people like us, people like you, can use it more, because that's the kind of crypto stuff I think that's ultimately going to change people's lives. You know, doing stuff that already matters to you, but better or cheaper or faster. So thank you to the partners that make this show possible. If you want to learn more about them, head on over to RUMS, RUMS, HQ.com. We've got a tab over there that says recommended tools and deals. We also have a lot of not sponsored, but it could be partners there. DeFi Llama has a link there. I think, I don't know, I think Coinbase has a link there. We have a lot of different people. Learning about crypto can feel like drinking from a fire hose, but having a couple resources to click through is a great way to start. And the best one, of course, is the community. Community.rumshq.com. The only thing missing is you. Okay. What do we got coming up here in the comments this Web3 101 Wednesday?
There was a really interesting question that I actually think I have a great answer for.
Okay.
I think was it Chris? Was it you? Sorry if I'm misquoting here. It was just if you could compare, what does Avalanche do? If you could compare them to a company in the S&P as if Solana was Apple. And
what a specific question.
It's
in a TikTok
specific
comment? Damn.
Yeah. I think I actually have like a specific answer that's actually kind of perfect. So bear with me here. I would call Avalanche GoPro in that equation. So here's my logic. In a world where Solana is Apple, wherein brand is powerful, like it does stuff, it has very like feverish loyalty. They have revenue to back up, claims, and there's plenty of stuff happening over there, right? Like robust ecosystem. GoPro is a phenomenal and really interesting example in the marketing world because they kind of rocketed onto like the internet, like social media marketing scene with like a really, really big push because the method of marketing there was interesting and unique, wherein the product itself was almost never really advertised. They sold this idea of like adventure and fun, and like all the commercials were like snowboard videos, scuba diving videos, skydiving videos, whatever. Avalanche, great product, works well, does a thing, built well, has been around for a long time, works. That's the camera. Then they sort of hitched their wagon to this narrative, this thing, and it became the full identity, which was gaming. There's nothing wrong with gaming, but like Web3 gaming as a genre, as a niche of that industry, is definitely going through a real rough patch. For a whole lot of reasons. We actually have an After Dark episode several weeks ago where I was joined by Icy and we talked about it at great length. So I won't go back. It's a great episode.
Great episode.
Right now, and GoPro's stock, like just for the record, you can go look at it. It languished for like a pretty long time. I have no clue what it's at right now, but I vividly remember like its fall off. Nothing about the mission changed, but like, the idea of just like going on adventures really like kind of got tired, and then there was not enough information about the actual root product to like pivot it into a different niche or a different excitement or a different brand recognition point. And that's kind of Avalanche. Like they do other stuff, but they never focused on it. It never became the identity of the ecosystem, of the brand, of the chain, of the network. Even if it was happening, I mean, it's being used in, I don't know, what state was it that like integrated its entire DMV to store California to store.
I thought that was Algorand though. Was that Avalanche?
I thought that was Avalanche.
I'd
have to fact check.
Yeah, fact check yourself, brother. I don't know.
And now it's languishing, even though like on its face, it's never stopped working. It's still doing the thing. It's very easy to build stuff there. There's all kinds of stuff there, but like that gaming, the going on adventures idea, that identity dominated its whole brand. And when that got tired, there was nothing left to catch it when it fell. Really interesting question. That was a fun little like.
It
Also,
was
friend-
Avalanche.
Friend
It
of the
was
show,
Avalanche.
DeWoofy, did fact check. It is Avalanche.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, DeWoofy. DeWoofy also said when you said compared it to Gopher, he was like, not even the Mag 7? Rip. I just wanted to show you this, Alex. You mentioned you're not really sure what the stock price is doing. Well,
I can only imagine it's pretty bad. But
yeah, they got that Godzilla chart going on, dude.
Oh, they do have that Godzilla chart.
But see,
no,
like-
Tokyo in 2021 got smoked.
But see, like that beginning of that chart, which looks like what, 15, 16,
the
2015?
Yeah, 2015, 2014, 13, yeah, 2014.
That's actually like that 2014. That's like exactly when I started getting involved in like investing and buying stocks and all that sort of stuff. And this was like a thing because the commercials were everywhere. They were so addicting. Like that. This is okay. I crushed it. That was a perfect example. Good job.
At least Avalanche's Godzilla chart looks better than that.
Dude.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about with the Godzilla chart, I need to do this again pretty soon.
You do,
We ran a chart art competition, and I gave
was
$100 away of my own money to the winner of it. And we just had our community put forward silly chart art. So like technical analysis has all these lines. So it's like drawing dinosaurs and dolphins on charts, and then like having some silly explanation. And the winner was the person who drew a Godzilla over like the giant initial boost, and then blasting fire atomic breath down on any future pump, like as if it was Tokyo, and just destroying it and beating it down into oblivion. And they won the $100.
Yeah, this is the content that you miss out on if you are not in the community at community.rumshq.com. Surely I can find it here. It can't be that hard. I also really, really liked Fartman and his BTC chart. That one was really good.
Fartman almost won.
Fartman almost won. And some of these had like I love this. This is coming to a t-shirt near you soon from the family of Jeff Rascal. We are really glad to say it's a family community. The pyramids chart was really good. Here we go.
Oh, there she
chart, baby. Look at this. Look at this beautiful, actually technical chart of, in fact.
And I love the plane and the tank that are trying to fight back.
Yeah, trying and failing.
DeWoofy, Fartman won in our hearts.
Fartman won in our hearts, indeed. I also love that Alex was like, when I started investing, implying he bought GoPro, man, buy the top, sell the bottom.
No. It was worse. I bought like the pre-run up. I rode it all the way up, and then I just like never did anything with it. And now it's worth nothing.
Now it's worth nothing.
I think I technically still own it in like an old Robinhood account that I haven't logged into in many years.
But the memories, man. Those.
You know what sucks?
Will last
you know what
forever.
else I bought at that same time in literally 2014, 15, something like that I just remembered, and now I wish that I hadn't? Nvidia.
Nvidia?
Yeah, bought it, sold it, dumped it, got rid of it, gave up because it crashed many years ago.
I sold it when it was, I don't know, I moved out of stock, but I did pretty well with Nvidia. Yeah, no,
I did terrible.
Hey, we all did terrible when we first started.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a great video yesterday from a new to me creator who is highlighted by friend of the show, Erica at Perk Insights. She was talking about Cheryl. And Cheryl, I'm sorry, I don't know your handle, but Cheryl is, I think she introduced herself as...
Shorter hair?
Yeah, shorter blonde hair. She said,
so
I'm over 40. Here's how I made wealth investing in cryptocurrency. Super simple video, no pretense about it. She has a 70-20-10 rule. Buys Bitcoin, 70% of her portfolio. ETH, 20% of her portfolio. And then she uses the other 10% to do whatever she wants. But her rule is she can only invest it in a maximum of 5 tokens. And I was like, wow. Cheryl is going to outperform 99% of all people who watch any crypto content anywhere, and she's getting rich. There's absolutely no doubt.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, she's really good. That was I think I stumbled upon one of her videos last week or something. Like just popped onto the feed, instant follow. It was really good.
I have a question for Roby1 in the comments. It's good to see you, my friend. Happy belated Thanksgiving. Who says, I'm curious how you all are claiming the companies behind other cryptos are doing well. Not public? ? Can you clarify? I know that the TikTok comments are limited. And also shout out to Dylan, who cares about me and said Evan. Feel free to turn up the heat in there. It's cold.
I think the question, because the question is a little confusing, but I think the question was a reference to like, you know, the cryptocurrency, the token is also like the same name for the company. Like, I don't know, just pick Avalanche, for example. Like Avalanche is the token, but also like the group behind it is also Avalanche. I think that's what you're talking about.
He clarified, he said the companies aren't public, so they don't disclose. Meaning about like, how can we say a particular crypto company is doing well or not doing well, actually doing stuff or not doing stuff if these companies aren't public? And I would just say everything is that we're talking about for the most part is related to verifiable public activity. For example, on-chain activity, or for example, ETF inflows, outflows, volume, developer activity. I don't know. What other metrics do you guys say? Like when I point to Ethereum as an ecosystem that is doing well, I point to TVL. And because that metric isn't perfect in a vacuum, I also talk about smart contracts being deployed. And I talk about active wallets, or I talk about the different kinds of apps and experiences that are built there or integrate there. The people who are talking about it, and revenue. Things like that one can point to. Because the point comes in, let me just read this. On-chain doesn't equate to public company EBITDA. Earnings before income taxes.
I would argue that really, really hard, actually.
I kind of would too. I think it's a new paradigm.
No, I think it's infinitely better.
I would agree.
Say more. First of all, the idea, the claim that like these companies don't disclose is just straight up false. If they don't, we don't consider it. DeFi Llama is a great example. There are a lot of there's a handful of ecosystems there that don't really have a lot of data reported. It's because none of it is publicly verifiable. Anything posted there is publicly verifiable on chain. That's kind of the whole point. The reason that you can say someone is doing something versus not is because we can all see everything that they all do all the time instantly from anywhere. Again, that's the whole point. So I would argue that all day long. IBTA doesn't mean shit compared to on-chain data because it's just raw information. Interpretations can be left, like Evan just said, TVL, for example, could be lauded as like the catch-all, like ultimate metric. I could poke a lot of holes in why it's not the world's greatest metric. Something else that you could say too, which again is publicly verifiable, just look at Argentina just now. Yeah, DevConnect, the whole thing was about Ethereum, and thousands of people showed up with thousands of things being built there, all to talk about the stuff that they're making and building. That's all public. It was all broadcast live on 1,000 different social media channels, constantly, all day, every day. And all that information about who's building what and who's making what money and which fees are being sent here, there, where, how many users are touching this, how many wallets exist, whatever. It's all verifiable publicly. All of it.
Now, to be fair, I mean, Binance is about to launch a conference, Binance Blockchain Week, and I think some of that is like incentivized propaganda. We talked about this with Ripple a second ago, and it is in their interest to let pretty much everybody talk about XRP pretty much however they want, even if what they say is not true. It's the same for ETH. They need people to hear about them, even if it's paid press, even if it's bad press. So I don't know that I would let that point stand.
What point?
Or I'd push back on it gently, just to say, like, the fact that they had this incredible conference that a lot of people attended is not necessarily a reflection that, Ethereum, they've got a foundation, they've got a nonprofit, but like, as a company, I don't know. I was just saying, I don't know that I think that point supports your argument as much.
I don't understand what your counter argument is.
My counter argument is conferences are not a good metric necessarily.
That was an anecdote, but sure.
Yeah.
But also, Binance makes a tremendous amount of money. They do a tremendous amount of business. They have a shitload of users. That conference is indicative of how many people are using that and buying it and trading on that platform and making them revenue and money. They are an absolute behemoth.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think it actually proves my point better.
Okay. I could take that. Can I quickly side note something about Binance? Did you guys see this? Binance introduces Binance Junior.
You are the most triggered person I've ever seen about a product launch with Binance Junior. I forgot to ask you about it.
Dude, I have a real trauma about adults not taking humans who are young seriously, as evidenced by my outrage at the fact that they called this thing Binance Junior. It's a parent-controlled app and sub-account for kids and teen, like your first debit card or your first savings account with like training wheels. Build family-focused crypto savings and prepare your child for a future empowered by crypto. But I ask you, ladies, gentlemen, monsters, and machines of the Rise Up Morning Show jury, what teenager in history has ever heard a thing called Junior and been like, yeah, I want to tell my friends I use that. Call me Junior, Daddy. You know what I mean? Like, no. No cool kid wants to use a Junior thing.
Yes. Let us expose the young ones to the Ponzi scheme. let us expose the young ones and burn them quickly while they don't have much money, so they learn their mistakes then.
Exactly. And listen, this is a little lore about me. I admit, like I say, I have some trauma related to this. I remember being a kid, like a young kid, like just starting to talk and go to McDonald's age kid, and I was so against the idea that a Happy Meal was like less than a regular meal. I was like, no, I don't want to. Don't get me a Happy Meal. I refused to eat Happy Meals. I made my parents get me, the adult equivalent of whatever meal I wanted. But I did tell them to ask for a toy. I was not too good for a toy. So, Binance Junior, maybe it works. I just thought that was funny.
It's a cool idea. But yeah,
it's a cool idea. I like that they're appealing to parents and helping with financial literacy, but
I would like it if Binance Junior was like, just have exposure to USDC and you earn 4%. And hey, that'd be great. If it was just that, that'd be great.
They got to have that. Surely.
Evan, this is another instance wherein I look back at a thing that you and I did several years ago and just be sad because Founders Forge.
Yeah, I know. What a great name, right? Founders Forge, man. I need that Drake meme, Binance Junior.
I'm so good at launching businesses that have no resources or bandwidth to actually make happen and then waiting 5 years for someone else who does have money to just do it instead.
Yeah, basically.
I am that bitter. Dude, I'm going to be insufferable when I'm old. You think I'm bad now? Wait till
You're insufferable now.
It can always get worse. Just like the price can always go lower, I can always become more insufferable.
Dude, in the comments today are so good. Shout out to Woofy who says, William, confirmed against freedom.
Confirmed against freedom. I saw that and made me laugh. But, Alex, you're already getting more, oh God, what was the word we just used? Whatever it was.
Curmudgeonly, crotchety.
Curmudgeonly, because now you have a whole hour and a half long show where you're just going to be a curmudgeon.
I know. Absolutely die on this hill.
I realized that I don't get enough time to complain by myself on this show, so I had to start another one.
Exactly.
Okay, we have got a whole hour and a half behind us. I cannot believe it's gone by this quickly. So I'm gonna say we can keep the show open for a little bit longer, just to entertain your final thoughts, your predictions about XRP, Avalanche, your favorite name for a junior app, or anything else you want to say before we choose to ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset. Don't forget, Trust Issues is coming up today on every platform where you are. 3 p.m. Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, got it. And then we have got Rise Up After Dark, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. I do not believe that we have a guest tonight, so we will be taking your altcoin questions. We'll be talking a little about the industry. I don't know, maybe Blockchain Bully, if you're listening, maybe this is the time you want to get your team together and come have an XRP debate. I don't know. Could be the move. But whatever you're thinking, share it now. And then jump into the community at community.rumshq.com. We would love to see you there. We've got the silly chart art. We've got your public forums. We've got the premium membership with the most dedicated, fun-loving members of our community. And the only thing missing is you. Do you guys know any IP experts? I would say we know Luca Netz, who's coming to the show next Monday, December 8th, the CEO of Pudgy Penguins. If you had to press me for a better IP brand in crypto, couldn't do it. Maybe they mean patent law or something like that.
I'd have to look. I think I have a friend, one of my lawyer friends, who specializes in intellectual property protection.
Do you know any LARPing experts? Actually, yes. I knew a kid in high school who made foam recreations of like actual historic and fantasy weapons that you could use in LARPing contests, and
Sweet.
he was an artist of the highest degree. I wish I knew what that guy was doing now. I bet he's seriously on it. CT asks, any holidays coming up, guys? A
Christmas?
lot of holidays. I mean,
I was
big
like,
ones.
Christmas?
Kwanzaa, Hanukkah is here pretty much.
New
Festivus. Festivus for the rest of us.
Festivus.
Boxing Day.
Ah, yes, Boxing
I have to
Day.
say,
Canada's
just because
worst Black Friday.
There was a comment, and Will, here's a laurel for you. Someone asked about Pengu, or just commented about Pengu, and there was a person who showed up like every day at the show for like 2 weeks straight, and just only to yell at Will for ever talking about Pengu. And I think it's up like 20% from its crash. So like, take some profits. Here's a great opportunity for you to say, yeah, crushed it.
Well, if you look at the chart, most people are definitely down.
Oh, I'm sure.
That Pengu chart looks ugly. But hey, and one day it did go up 25%.
But that's crazy.
Yeah.
A day?
It is crazy.
25% return?
25% in a day. It's wild.
It's absolutely wild. Holidays.
It's funny. I started buying Pengu again like 4 days beforehand, posted about it, and I was like, hey, look at that. 25%. Love this.
Amen.
And for the folks on TikTok, I am going to very quickly throw something up. We have got, thanks to partner of the show, Arculus, a discount code for their website and one for TikTok shop. You can use the code RUMS10 if you go to getarculus.com to buy your cold storage wallet. Or if you're on TikTok, you should head over to the TikTok shop because they've been having all kinds of discounts and deals lately. The Arculus wallet usually retails for $99. Your code gets you 10% off, but if you use the code ARCURUMS10 on TikTok, not only do you get 10% off, but they're selling it right now for $89.10 or something like that. If you're listening in podcast land when you hear this, it might be different, but they're always doing deals there. I asked them for a schedule of when we could expect those, because I hate those videos that say, oh, they've never done this deal before, they might never do it again, hurry while it lasts. I would just love for us to be able to say, no, like, save your money, they'll do it again next spring. So you got a chance right now. Save some money. Get some cold storage. Thanks to the official cold storage sponsor of Rise Up. Thanks to Unlock. Thank you to Jito. Thank you to Polygon. Thank you to the White Whale. All the sponsors, and most of all to all of you who make this show the very best thing to do with our mornings. Will, Alex, final thoughts?
Yes.
Go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say there was a question about RWAs, so I'll briefly touch on that as my final thought. And I actually meant to share this a couple days ago, and I didn't because I'm bad at my job. But
RWA
this from Brandon Terp over on LinkedIn, who's just a capital investment venture capital guy. So this is Coinbase Ventures 4 categories for 2026, and I thought a couple things about it were interesting. One, we have here the perpification of everything, which is, perpetuals, trading, and markets, and places to do all that stuff for as many assets as humanly possible, including RWA perps, which is interesting. There's a whole economics.
Kind of reminds me of what Will asked Hester the other day about like NFT ETFs.
Yeah, definitely. And that was one of my points. So notice that on this list, so we got perps of everything, specialized exchanges and trading terminals, next gen DeFi, and then AI and robotic. And I noticed that RWA was not on here at all, even though was it Larry Fink the other day just said tokenization now is the internet in 1996. And so it's still being talked about, barely explored. Hugely bullish on the category of real world assets becoming tokenized and different, accessibility points and different velocities being added to all sorts of different things. And actually, even though it's not mentioned here, the old SEC has been talking about RWA more indirectly, a lot more than anybody else. Just in, and actually, this did come up in our conversation with Commissioner Percy the other day. The idea that, how to regulate and police the tokenizing of an asset that's already regulated. Does the token add anything to it? If so, what does it add? What does it change about the relationship between it and the investor? All that sort of stuff. So, yes, in short, excited about RWA. It's a very, 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 very broad category. Evan, I'm going to rug you.
Nope. Oh, man, I got you that time.
So anyway, interesting. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. That's like the TradFi interest heavily. It's just like taking all the stuff that they already own and tokenizing it to add velocity and access to different liquidity.
Yep. RWA, always into something. Dope man, straight out of Compton. Express yourself. Many more hits sure to come. Big fan of RWA. Will, have you got a final thought?
Yeah, with this pump, and if this pump continues to as far as I think it will, like 98K, maybe extends a bit to 105K or so, you're going to see a lot of, we're so back, haha, like it's all-time highs right around the corner. You're going to see all these kinds of posts, no matter what social media platform you are on. And don't believe it. You're going to feel that emotional pull of like, oh, I won't take any profits. I won't listen to Alex. I won't take any profits because it's going to go a little bit higher. You're going to feel that emotional pull. I feel it too. You know, and you got to say no. You have to spritz yourself with some water, and then hit that sell button a little bit. Take some profits, because just from like a technical analysis standpoint, one bounce upwards is not a confirmed bottom. You need a double bottom that maintains at that same level. You need a higher low, right? And if you sell a little bit at the top, take some profits, and it dips down, and then it has a confirmed bottom, and you don't get that bottom exactly, and it comes back up again. Guess what? You have an opportunity to buy in lower than where you bought, right? 9 out of 10 times, that's what happens. But what we currently have on the charts is not a confirmed bottom. We have a lot of volatile events coming for us in the crypto space and macroeconomically. December 18th to the 19th, rate decision. They're going to hike rates out of the Bank of Japan. It's going to cause a lot of shakeup at the end of the year. Also, the end of the year, a lot of people purposely take bad trades. They purposely take bad trades to write off taxes, right? You know, it'll real sketchy timing with the Bank of Japan rate hikes. And then also we have that Morgan Stanley vote on January 13th, January 15th, where they could remove MicroStrategy from indexes and could cause $3 billion to $8 billion of selling for the stock of MicroStrategy, which will put even more bearish pressure on them to maybe one day sell their Bitcoin. So, you know, you're going to feel that. So what I'm saying is you're going to feel that emotional pull of it's going right back up to the top. And that is never how things work. Take some profits. Even if you're under, just sell a little bit. Because one of the things we talk about is if you have a position that's under, you can swing trade your way back into profitability and also manage your risks. So that's it. Your emotions are going to go wild. We're all back. It's going to be amazing again. All-time highs are right around the corner. Look, Trump's going to give people stimulus checks and there's going to be no income tax. Well, hey, if those things happen, that's well into 2026. We are not there. Okay.
It's the perfect time to buy.
Beautiful. We are dinging, donging, and danging. I really do want to shout out the commenters. DeWoofy is here with some classic comebacks. Hublai Khan has been really great in the comments today. I see friends of the show Bearded and Tori and Carol and Neil. And shout out to Leaf for this one. Surprised Binance didn't just call their teen app Binance. No cap. Ragin' Cajun, Jay Fillet, so many good comments, and we appreciate you for being the very best part of what we do. When all these things come to pass, we will tell you about it. We'll be back later today, later tonight, and of course tomorrow, wherever you are, whenever you listen. Thank you, as always, for being the very best part of what we do. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, be well, my friends. Rise up.